All right, let's get real. You know that feeling, that gut punch when someone dismisses your idea, talks over you, or drops a passive-aggressive bomb. Your first instinct is to fight back, to defend yourself, to get sucked into their drama. And that's exactly what they want. But what if I told you there's a way to handle disrespect that doesn't require you to yell, doesn't require you to argue, and doesn't even require you to care? We're not talking about being passive. We're talking about being bulletproof. To truly understand the ultimate power move, let us consider the ancient tale of the Unreceived Gift. A renowned Zen master was once teaching a group of students when a man, known for his volatile temper, stormed into the room. He began to relentlessly insult the master, using the most vulgar and personal language imaginable. The students were outraged and prepared to defend their teacher, but the master remained perfectly still, listening with a calm, patient expression. The man continued his tirade until, exhausted and frustrated by the master's lack of reaction, he fell silent. The master then looked at the man and spoke softly. "If someone offers you a gift and you choose not to accept it, to whom does the gift belong?" The man, confused, replied, "It belongs to the one who offered it." The master smiled gently and said, "Precisely, I refuse to accept your gift." The man left, defeated, while the students understood the profound lesson. The insult, like the gift, only becomes yours if you choose to receive it. In the spirit of Zen, we learn that true power is not found in controlling others, but in mastering our own inner landscape. The path to handling disrespect is not about winning an argument or exacting revenge. It is about cultivating a profound, unshakable peace. Today, we step onto the path of the Zen master. We will explore 5 transformative ways to meet disrespect, not with reaction, but with wisdom, compassion, and an inner stillness that makes the insult powerless. 5 practices to transform how you handle disrespect. 1. See the arrow, do not catch it. The art of non-attachment. Principle: non-attachment. At the heart of this practice lies a fundamental understanding of psychological mechanics that can revolutionize your entire relationship with criticism and disrespect. Disrespect functions precisely because we have constructed an ego self, a carefully curated identity built from our achievements, social roles, beliefs, and most crucially, the regard of others. This ego self is like a glass sculpture we've spent our entire lives building, polishing each achievement, each compliment, each validation into its structure. When someone aims disrespect at us, they are not attacking our fundamental awareness, that core consciousness that cannot be harmed, but this constructed self-image. The arrow is specifically designed to pierce this ego construction, to shatter the glass, to make us question our worth. To not catch it is not a suppression of feeling, but a radical act of re-identification. It is the moment you remember, I am not the persona being attacked. I am aware of the attack. This distinction is everything. You are not your job title, your social media presence, your bank account, or your achievements. You are the awareness that experiences all of these things. And awareness cannot be insulted. It can only observe insult passing through, like clouds moving across the sky. This requires cultivating the observer self, that part of your consciousness that can step back and watch the event unfold without immediate entanglement. Viktor Frankl, the psychiatrist who survived the Nazi concentration camps, discovered this truth in the most extreme circumstances imaginable. He wrote, "Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom." The arrow is the stimulus. Your choice to catch it or let it fly past is the response. That microsecond of conscious choice is where your power resides. Imagine you post a thoughtful opinion on social media, perhaps something you've carefully considered from multiple angles. Within minutes, a stranger leaves a venomous, personal attack in the comments. Not a thoughtful disagreement, but a vicious character assassination, questioning your intelligence, your motives, even your worth as a human being. Your heart races, adrenaline floods your system, your fingers hover over the reply button, ready to defend yourself. Every fiber of your being screams for vindication. This is the moment you are about to catch the arrow. Your ego is wounded and demands satisfaction. The Zen response is to see the comment, the arrow, as exactly what it is: a piece of digital noise, a projection of the commenter's own internal state, their own pain seeking an outlet. It has nothing to do with you. You simply scroll past it. You do not engage, you do not internalize, and the arrow falls harmlessly to the digital ground. The disrespect has no target because you have refused to be one. When you scroll past, you are performing a conscious ritual of non-engagement. You might even mentally label the process arrow released, ego tempted, arrow observed passing, ego unscathed. This practice extends far beyond online interactions. In a workplace meeting where your contribution is dismissed with a scoff, the arrow is the scoff, that non-verbal contempt, that public humiliation. Catching it would mean flushing with anger, stumbling over your words, or shrinking into silence. Letting it pass means noticing the internal flinch, taking a conscious breath into the space it created, and calmly continuing. As I was saying, or even asking with genuine curiosity, could you elaborate on your concern? You address the content, if necessary. While completely sidestepping the disrespectful packaging, you've refused to play the game of dominance and submission. The daily practice. Begin with minor irritations. These are your training ground. When a stranger is rude in line at the grocery store, notice the urge to retaliate. Really notice it. Feel where it lives in your body. Is it a tightness in your jaw? A heat in your chest? This noticing is the practice. Then breathe. One conscious breath. And in that breath, make a conscious decision. I will not catch this arrow. Each time you practice, you strengthen the neural pathway of the observer, making it your default response. You are training not to be passive, but to be selectively engaged, choosing only those battles that serve a purpose beyond ego defense. Start small. The person who doesn't hold the door. The coworker who takes credit for your idea. These are your practice arrows. Let them fly by. Notice the spaciousness that remains when you're not consumed with resentment. 2. Recognize the thirst of the speaker, the wellspring of compassion. Principle. Compassion. Zen teaches that all beings act from fundamental drives, from core needs that are either being met or unmet. When those needs are met, when a person is operating from inner abundance, feeling secure, valued, purposeful, their interactions naturally flow toward respect, generosity, and kindness. Disrespect, almost without exception, springs from a place of lack, a thirst. Understanding this changes everything. The thirst for significance. Some people feel invisible, like they don't matter in a world that barely notices them. They've been overlooked and underestimated for so long that the only way to feel they matter is to diminish someone else. By putting you down, they elevate themselves, if only momentarily. It's a false elevation, like standing on a stool and claiming to be tall, but for someone dying of insignificance, even that temporary height feels like oxygen. The thirst for control. When someone's life feels chaotic, financial stress, relationship turmoil, health problems, they often try to reassert control wherever they can. If they can control your emotional state through their words, if they can make you react, they've proven to themselves they still have power. The disrespect is not about you. It's a desperate attempt to feel less helpless in their own life. The thirst to expel pain. We all carry emotional toxicity, shame, anger, guilt, fear. Healthy people process these emotions constructively, but many never learned how. So the toxicity builds up until it needs to escape, and the easiest exit is projection onto others. Their disrespect is emotional vomiting. They feel terrible inside, and they're trying to make you feel terrible outside to achieve some semblance of equilibrium. When you recognize this, when you truly see the thirst driving the disrespect, the dynamic shifts entirely. The person ceases to be an opponent and becomes a human being displaying symptoms of inner poverty. This compassionate recognition is not agreement, approval, or weakness. It is strategic and liberating wisdom. It is understanding that engaging with the content of their disrespect is like arguing with a hallucination. The real issue is not the words they speak, but the emptiness from which those words spring. Consider a colleague who constantly belittles your ideas in meetings with passive-aggressive jokes. "Oh, here's another one of Sarah's revolutionary ideas," they say with air quotes and an eye roll. Your first instinct is to feel personally attacked, to question your competence. But instead, you pause and ask, what is their thirst? As you observe over time, patterns emerge. They interrupt not just you, but anyone whose ideas might shine brighter than theirs. You learn they've been passed over for promotion twice. You notice they stay late every night, respond to emails at 2 a.m., seem perpetually exhausted. You recall they mentioned their teenager struggling in school in a tense custody battle. Suddenly, their behavior makes complete sense. They're not actually threatened by your ideas. They're terrified of their own irrelevance. Every innovative idea you present is a mirror reflecting their fear of falling behind, of becoming obsolete. Their disrespect is a clumsy attempt to manage their own anxiety. Once you see this, you respond with calm professionalism. I appreciate the feedback. The data suggests this approach could increase efficiency by 15%. I'd be happy to walk through the methodology after the meeting. You've refused to engage with the disrespect. You've treated it like background noise. More importantly, you've protected your inner peace from their chaos. You might even, from a place of detached compassion, address the thirst directly. "Hey, I notice you seem really stressed about this project. I know you're carrying a lot. Is there something I can help clarify or take off your plate?" When met with unexpected compassion after handing out disrespect, most people are disarmed. You've refused to be the enemy they were expecting. The daily practice. When faced with disrespect, pause and silently ask, what is their thirst? Frame hypotheses without judgment. They thirst for control because they feel powerless. They thirst for validation because they feel unseen. This mental exercise immediately creates distance and drains the personal sting from the encounter. It transforms an attack into a puzzle of human psychology, engaging your wisdom rather than your anger. You become a compassionate observer rather than a wounded soldier. 3. Anchor in your own stillness, the fortress of inner validation. Principle: inner validation. Imagine a ship on a turbulent sea. The waves are massive, the wind is howling, and the surface chaos seems overwhelming. But deep beneath the surface, far below where the storms rage, there exists a profound stillness. The water there is calm, undisturbed, unaffected by whatever tempest rolls above. An anchor holds because it is connected to something massive and immovable beneath that turbulent surface. Your stillness is not the absence of thought or emotion, but the deep, settled conviction of your own inherent worth and the rightness of your chosen path, provided it is chosen with integrity. This anchor is forged through intentional self-knowledge. It is built by consistently showing up for yourself, keeping promises to yourself, and engaging in regular, honest self-inquiry. What are my core values? Not the values you think you should have, but the actual principles that guide your decisions when no one is watching. Is it integrity, creativity, service, growth? These values become the bedrock of your anchor. What is my purpose? Not your job description, but your reason for being here. What contribution do you want to make? This provides direction and makes petty criticisms feel appropriately small. What do I know to be true about myself? This requires brutal honesty. What are your actual strengths and weaknesses? When you know yourself truthfully, external judgments become data points to consider, not verdicts to fear. When this anchor is secure, external criticism becomes data, not verdicts. You can receive feedback without collapsing, because your foundation is not built on the sand of others' opinions. You can ask, is there a truth here I can use? Without the fearful question, does this mean I am worthless? Picture this. You decide to leave a high-paying, prestigious job to pursue a creative passion. The job you're leaving is the kind that makes your parents proud at dinner parties, with a salary that allows comfortable living. You've thought deeply about this decision. You've run the numbers, consulted mentors, and journaled for months about your values. You've concluded that the prestige and money are not worth the cost to your soul. Then you tell your family, and a parent aggressively questions your wisdom. not with curiosity, but with judgment. They call your choice irresponsible, naive, throwing away everything you've worked for. The emotional weight is crushing, especially from someone whose approval you've sought your entire life. The instinct is to launch into a detailed defense, to prove your responsibility with spreadsheets and market research, to seek their blessing. But this is quicksand. You're trying to build your anchor in their approval, and their approval is shifting sand. The Zen response, the anchored response, is to return to your depth. You simply state, with warmth but firmness, I have made this decision with careful consideration, and I am at peace with my choice. You do not need their approval, and by refusing to explain further, you demonstrate that your life is not up for public vote. The statement, I am at peace with my choice, is powerful because it emanates from bedrock. It communicates that the decision is not up for debate because the core authority, your own sovereign self, has already ruled. This can be done with gentle warmth. I understand your concern comes from love and care for my well-being. This path feels right to me in a way I can't fully articulate, and I'm excited to walk it. I hope you'll support me, but I also understand if you need time to adjust. You've acknowledged their emotion without endorsing their judgment, remaining anchored in your center while staying connected to the relationship. The daily practice. Build your anchor daily through meditation, journaling your values, and reviewing your decisions. When you make a choice, connect it to your core principles on paper. I'm choosing to speak up because I value integrity and truth-telling. This creates a paper trail for your soul. Weekly, review your decisions. Note which were aligned with your values and which were compromises. Monthly, take inventory of your self-integrity. Where did you keep promises to yourself? Where did you break them? When disrespect comes, you can return to this inner record. I chose this path based on my value of growth. That has not changed. The more you do this, the quieter the external shouts become. 4. Offer a blessing and release, the alchemy of boundaries. Principle. Boundary as peace. There's an old saying, holding on to anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. When someone disrespects you and you hold on to that disrespect, replaying it in your mind, building narratives around it, fueling fantasies of revenge, you're not hurting them. They've moved on, but you're trapped in a loop, poisoning yourself with their toxicity. The blessing and release is the antidote, a conscious internal act of alchemy where you transform the corrosive energy of anger into the neutral energy of detachment. The blessing. This is not for them. It is a ritual for you. It is the mental act of washing your hands of their emotional burden. By sincerely wishing them peace, may you find the calm you lack. May you heal whatever causes you to lash out. You are performing several powerful actions simultaneously. First, you acknowledge their humanity. They are not a monster, but a suffering human being acting from pain. This acknowledgement begins to dissolve the grip they have on your psyche. Second, you express your commitment to peace. The blessing says, I prefer a world where this person is healed over a world where they continue suffering. You're declaring you refuse to participate in the cycle of harm. Third, the blessing is a conscious act of letting go. When you genuinely wish someone well, even someone who hurt you, you're severing the energetic cord that binds you to them. The release. This is the active setting of a psychic boundary. You visualize cutting a cord, closing a door, or returning their emotional gift. You decide, this person and their negativity no longer have a lease on space in my mind. Release is not suppression. Suppression bottles the poison inside where it festers. Release says, I have felt this fully, and now I am done with it. Imagine a difficult client sends a scathing email late Friday afternoon filled with personal attacks, questioning not just your work, but your ethics, competence, even your character. They make unreasonable demands and threaten to ruin your reputation. Your initial reaction is a cocktail of emotions: anger at the injustice, fear about consequences, hurt at the personal nature. Your mind races. You draft responses in your head. You imagine calling them out publicly. Your entire weekend is about to be ruined. This is the poison taking effect. This person has successfully transferred their chaos into your nervous system. Instead, you practice blessing and release. You take several deep breaths and mentally wish them well. Not sarcastically, but genuinely. This person is clearly in tremendous distress. Whatever is happening in their life has pushed them to this point. This is not really about me. May they find relief from whatever is causing such turmoil. As you do this, something shifts. The tight knot in your chest begins to loosen. You've performed the blessing. Then comes the release. You imagine writing their name on paper, placing it in a box labeled "Not Mine to Carry," and closing the lid firmly. You say internally, "I release this. This negativity is not mine. I do not carry this forward." From this clean space, you draft a professional reply. "Thank you for your email. I understand you have concerns about specific work issue. I will address this by specific action and timeline. I'm happy to schedule a call to clarify and resolve any issues." You address legitimate business concerns, sidestep personal attacks without defending against them, which would give them power, and offer a professional path forward. You send it, close your laptop, and reclaim your weekend. The daily practice. Create a simple ritual. After difficult interactions, take 3 deep breaths. On each exhale, say mentally, "Bless and release." Or write the person's name, write a blessing for them, then safely burn or tear up the paper as symbolic release. The ritual trains your nervous system. This is how we let go. This is how we return to peace. Eventually, you can do this in real time, needing no elaborate ritual, just a conscious choice to bless, release, and move on. 5. Observe the cloud, not the sky. The wisdom of impermanence. Principle. The eternal witness and the fleeting form. This practice connects to perhaps the most fundamental teaching in Zen, the understanding of impermanence, known in Pali as anicca. All phenomena are in constant flux. Thoughts, emotions, sensations, interpersonal events. Everything is in motion, nothing is static. Yet beneath this constant change, there is something unchanging. Pure awareness itself. Your true nature is the sky of consciousness, the constant spacious background against which all these temporary clouds appear and disappear. Right now, you are aware. You are reading these words, but you are also aware that you are reading. That awareness is constant. The content of awareness changes every moment. Different thoughts, different sensations, but awareness itself remains. Disrespect is a particularly dark, noisy cloud passing through the sky of your awareness. It seems solid and permanent in the moment because you're focused entirely on it, but step back, zoom out, and you see it's just one cloud in a vast sky. The pain arises when we commit a fundamental error. We confuse ourselves with the cloud. We believe I am insulted as a permanent state, rather than recognizing a feeling of being insulted is passing through me. This distinction is everything. By consciously observing the cloud, you perform 2 acts. First, you acknowledge it without denial. Yes, this hurt is here. Second, you place it in the context of flux, and it is already changing, fading. This robs the event of its narrative power. It prevents you from weaving this single insult into an epic story of, "I am always disrespected," or "Nobody values me." Picture this. You're stuck in traffic after a long, exhausting day. Suddenly, a driver aggressively cuts you off, missing your bumper by inches. As they speed past, they lean on their horn and shout an obscenity, gesturing angrily as if you were at fault. The immediate reaction is rage. Your heart pounds. Adrenaline floods your system. Your mind generates instant narratives. What an asshole. I should catch up, and people are so disrespectful. If you stay in this state, your evening is ruined. The Zen practice is to observe the cloud. As the driver speeds away, you consciously note, "Ah, a cloud of aggression has appeared. I notice heat in my face. I notice tension in my shoulders. I notice angry thoughts arising." This simple narration creates space. You are no longer the anger, you are observing the anger. You've activated your witness consciousness. Then you name it. This is a cloud. It is already passing. And you're right. The driver is already fading from view. The biochemical surge of adrenaline will metabolize in minutes. The thoughts, if you don't feed them, will dissolve. You consciously return attention to the sky, your hands on the steering wheel, the music playing, the road ahead. You take a deliberate breath. That was a cloud. It appeared. It has passed. I am still here, the same awareness I was before it appeared. By the time you pull into your driveway, the incident has dissolved completely. You walk into your home, present, unburdened. Your family gets the best of you, not the worst of that angry driver. The daily practice. Formal meditation is essential training. Even 10-15 minutes daily of sitting quietly and observing thoughts and feelings without clinging builds the observer muscle. Throughout your day, practice real-time labeling. When negative emotion arises, note its qualities. Tightness in chest, heat in face, story of unfairness playing. This running commentary activates your observer self. At day's end, journal about the clouds that passed through. Today, a cloud of criticism appeared when, and the cloud passed, and I remain. Over weeks and months, this fundamentally alters your relationship with disrespect. You stop taking it so personally because you've trained yourself to see it as impersonal, a temporary phenomenon arising and passing, most of which has nothing to do with you. You develop equanimity, not indifference, but a balanced mind that can hold both pleasant and unpleasant experiences without being knocked off center. You become like a mountain. Weather systems move around you, but you remain stable, grounded, unmoved. The Zen path teaches that disrespect is merely noise gaining substance only when we internalize it. These 5 practices, seeing the arrow, recognizing the thirst, anchoring in stillness, offering a blessing, and observing the cloud, are acts of radical self-respect. When you refuse to accept the gift of insult, you demonstrate mastery that no external aggression can touch. You become the unmoved mountain, letting winds of disrespect blow around you without disturbing your foundation. Here's what I want you to do next. If these principles resonated with you, if you felt that shift in perception, that taste of what peace under pressure could feel like, then you're ready for deeper work. Over at Tales by Kathy, I'm building a community of people done letting others' chaos dictate their peace, done being pushed around by circumstance and criticism. This isn't about becoming emotionless. It's about becoming so rooted in your center that you can engage fully with life without being knocked off balance. Subscribe to Tales by Kathy. Let's keep building that unmoved mountain together. Drop a comment below. Which of these 5 practices resonates most with you right now? Which one do you need most urgently? And if you're willing to share, what's one recent situation where you wish you'd had these tools? Remember, every master was once a beginner who refused to give up. Every moment of inner peace you create is a victory. Every time you choose wisdom over reaction, you're not just changing your life, you're showing others what's possible.